Africa has got to be free.
I remember when I grew, because they couldn't understand why can't you go and work when there's plenty work. Before 1994, no go na le mebereko. I remember when I grew, because they couldn't understand why can't you go and work when there's plenty work.
Greetings, everyone. I hope you are fine. I hope you are doing well. I'm Olani Moloim, and I appreciate you for taking your precious time to watch this video. And if you like this type of content, genuinely so, I will appreciate if you can just hit the subscribe button, that like button, like never before. This is what I want to talk about. But before I can do so, I just want to play this short clip one more time.
Before 1994, no go na le mebereko. I remember when I grew, because they couldn't understand why can't you go and work when there's plenty work. Before that,
I would like to begin by saying that is why in South Africa we have a problem of producing good leaders. We have a problem of producing good presidents. That is why we always keep on voting for the same leaders all the time, because they keep on giving us hope. The problem is that these people, they don't know their roots. If they know their roots, it's because they've been like programmed by the colonial system to the point whereby they end up thinking that slavery was better. You have to bear in mind that people who understand what freedom is are the people who were born before colonialism, people who lived prior to colonialism, who expressed their traditions and culture to the fullest, who worshipped the Most High without any interruption. Those are the people who understood what freedom is. So most of the people from about like 500 years, 400 years, 300 years ago, most of those people were born in slavery. And if you are born in slavery, it's difficult for you to understand or to admit or to understand whenever you are told that this is not good, this is slavery. To you, it's not slavery because you have a way of justifying it because you were born into it. That is why your history is important. That is why I always say the solution to your problems can be found in your story. The meaning behind these words are very deep. And in Africa and even all over the world amongst Black people, we have the same culture of listening to old people because that's a right thing to do. We have to listen to the old people because we assume that they know better than us. In order for us to excel, in order for us to know the way, we have to be taught by the old people. But it's not always the case. So that is why it's important for you to listen to what I'm going to say today. Most of the people, they do not understand what slavery is. For an example, right now when it comes to the rules and regulations of the Labor Department, or according to Labor Department, people should work for certain hours. People should have time to rest. And again, people should have certain benefits like maternity leaves and other benefits that are related. And again, people should be paid a certain amount. In other words, there's a basic salary, which I always agree with, even though sometimes there are challenges that other businesses are facing. But here is the thing. Why those things are there is because if you have to come up with strategies, with measures of how people should be paid, in other words, you have to be concerned or you have to consider their well-being as well. But here's the thing. During the apartheid system, they did not care about all of these benefits or most of these benefits which I've already mentioned. And again, when it comes to salaries, if you are earning, for an example, a certain amount of money every month under this democracy and your company is regulated, during the apartheid system, you are supposed to share that salary with 3 or 4 people. And there are many political parties that are still standing for that. And the reason they are standing for that is because they know very well that their people benefited a lot during the apartheid system by using our people as slaves. So when you hear such people like such old people saying during apartheid you would get arrested for not working. Yes, you would get arrested, but where will you be taken to after that? You will be taken to go and work for food. To go and work for nothing. You work for peanuts, you work for nothing. Our grandmothers can tell you they used to work for free of charge. In other words, they used to work for maize. They used to work for potatoes. Then if you want us to go back there, it can be easy. Just tell the president we want to go back there where you can just get paid by a bag of maize or a bag of potatoes. Just tell the president it will be easy. In other words, guys, to go back to slavery is not something which is difficult. You just need these people to announce it so that we can go back, so that all these people who are promoting apartheid system these days, so that they can be free. So that they can be free, because deep down in their hearts, they want to go back to the apartheid system. So when it comes to apartheid system, you have to understand that a white man and a black woman were not earning the same salary. Same applies to what is happening today. These days, there are many companies that are going for black people as branch managers. You know why are they doing that? They know very well that if you put a black person as a branch manager, you can pay them whatever you want to. Because you have to understand, if you're working for the same company and that company has, like, for an example, multiple branches, but let me just make an example with 2 branches, and the other branch, and these branches with size and everything, they are equal. The other branch is led by a black person and the other branch is led by a white person. I'm telling you the truth, their salaries are not the same in most cases, even under democracy. So that is why now these companies have realized that this whole process is benefiting them. So that is why they are now hiring black people as branch managers, because they don't have to pay them much. Same applies to the apartheid system. A black man and a white man would not earn the same salary. In other words, the white man would earn 10 times or 20 times better than a black man. This is a fact. So that is why it was easy for them to say, come, let's go and work. Come, let's go and work. Yes, indeed, you will work, because the work is plenty out there. Work is plenty out there. But the stumbling block, or their stumbling block, is what? Is a regulation, labor regulation. This is so bad. This is so bad, because if you have been manipulated to the core, and if you have been programmed to the core, you believe that slavery slave jobs was a way to go. That's the problem. That's the problem. I don't have problem when people criticize African National Congress. And I believe if it was on record, I should be the one receiving credit, because at a young age, 12 years, 13 years, I was like, ANC is a scam many years ago. And when I had an opportunity to say, you know what, let me just vote for the first time, I was like, no, I cannot vote for African National Congress out of all those political parties. So most of these people who are criticizing ANC now, they were happy back then in the 90s. In 2000, they were happy. They start to see a problem now. Even though I can give myself a credit to say, I saw this coming, but I cannot use what ANC is doing, the mess which ANC has put us into, to praise the apartheid system. I cannot do that. Why? Because I know my history very well. I know my story very well. And I know what is the difference between freedom and slavery. And most of these people, they don't understand the difference between slavery and freedom. And that is why sometimes they want to mix them in the same basket. And they cannot mix, because freedom and the slavery, they are like oil and water. So that is why the system still applies even today. That is why even if you can try by all means to say, let me save, that money that you get at the end of the month is reserved so that you can buy groceries, so that you can pay your school fees, your children's school fees, so that you can buy certain things, and it's over. Because this was planned. It's a planned thing. We are still in slavery. But right now, I'm talking about the slavery pre-1994. It was worse. Because a black man had to work for free, had to work for nothing. In other words, 100 people used to share a salary of about 10 people. That's slavery. That's slavery. And some of these people, they had to go and work in the cities. They didn't even have time to develop a relationship with their families, with their kids, with their children. Because that money was not sufficient enough so that they can live anywhere with their families. It was not enough. This is painful. These are the elders. We should be listening to the elders, their guidance. But right now, it's just a bit difficult because they believe in slavery. It's painful to be born in slavery because you don't know what freedom looks like.